In 2005, we took a jet boat tour from Moab, Utah to Canyonlands National Park. This video is part 2 of 3 of the full-length version of the tour. There's also a shorter edited version where much of the travel between stops is eliminated. This video takes you from Jug Handle Arch to the Thelma and Louise Point. And if you like this content, please subscribe and like. It really helps my ego.
Is everybody still doing okay? Yeah. A little warm-up break now.
Look at you uniting the sand.
Yeah. If you look right up here, you'll see Jug Handle Arch coming off of the edge.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you guys can figure out why they call it Jug Handle Arch. I don't need to explain that to you, but there's a lot of people that rock climb up over the face of that. There is some people that actually get inside of that and they put their hands on one side and their feet on the other and walk up as far as they can. Yeah, that's another sport that I like to watch. It's quality entertainment, I tell you. Yeah. There is a four-wheel drive road that goes up this canyon over here. You can't see the road from here, but it's just over that little lip right there. It goes up towards Dead Horse Point State Park. It's what we call Long Canyon. It used to be called Pucker's Pass, but then they came through and graded some of it, so they took the pucker out of the pass. So now it's called Long Canyon, and why it's called Long Canyon, I don't know, because it's not very long. So the guy that graded it must have been named Long, because it's not very long. But up that canyon, that's where they filmed the movie City Slickers 2 with Billy Crystal was filmed out there. And you guys can easily do that trail if you have a high clearance vehicle with some four-wheel drive. Or a rental car, like I said, you know. It's easy trail, yeah. In a rental car you can do it, yeah. No, don't recommend it. But up that canyon also they filmed the movie, or parts of Riders of the Purple Sage. We've also had a few Jeep commercials filmed up there. One of them is where this Jeep is racing a helicopter. The Jeep is just flying up this canyon. The helicopter's chasing after him. Well, the Jeep gets up on top, slams on his brakes, kicks off a bunch of dust. Then the helicopter, of course, finally catches up to him and pulls up on top and says something to him like, "Next time, give me a head start." Something ridiculous. The other one that you might have seen was a little bit more popular than that one was where there's these 3 points, and on these 3 points there's people standing there, and they've got Jeeps behind them, and there's a canyon in between these 3 points. Well, they're throwing a frisbee across the canyon to each other. Well, one of them throws the frisbee across and it falls down inside the canyon. Well, the person that was supposed to grab that frisbee yells across the canyon, "I'll get it." The other says, "No, I'm gonna get it." And they all run to get in their Jeeps to go get the frisbee. After that one, I went and bought one. Yeah, wise guys. Yeah, I couldn't afford the Jeep. Yeah, had to buy a frisbee for the dog. But if you look downstream now, you can see a building that just came into view. And that big tall building there with the green roof and the tan stripe coming down it, that is the elevator shaft for this mine. This is actually where we mine potassium chloride. This is what we call the Potash Mine. By the way, that is the tallest building in the Moab area. So that's our skyscraper. Wow. Want a picture of it. Just thought you guys would want to know that. But that is a, what they do is they used to send miners down inside that shaft to mine that salt until somewhere in the 80s they had an accident down in there and it killed some people. So now what they do is they do solution mining. Have any of you been out to Dead Horse Point State Park? A few of you. You seen those big blue ponds out in the middle of the desert? Yeah. Well, the rest of you, if you go out to Dead Horse Point, you look off the cliff, you'll see these big blue ponds. You'll see what we're talking about. But what they do is they pump water now from the river down inside that shaft. They slurry that water up down there with that mineral. Then they pump the water out into these big blue ponds. And they add a blue dye to the water. That's what makes it look so blue as they pump it out there. Well, when it pumps it out there, then that water sits out there. But that blue dye helps speed up the evaporation process. The water evaporates and leaves the salts and minerals behind, and then they go in with tractors and pick it up and bring it down here to the plant. And that's where they process it, and then it gets shipped out by truck or by railroad. You might have noticed we joined a set of railroad tracks just back upstream here. That train comes every Friday. Those tracks are still used. But you got a few days you gotta wait until you see the train. Because you'll notice here if you're in town on Friday, because the whole town shuts down and we all run out to the tracks to watch the train go by. Yeah, it's a big train. I think it's like 2 engines and a couple cars, you know. It's a pretty big event for us. Besides the mountain bikers, you know, that's our only entertainment. But yeah, we set our clocks by that actually. Yeah. Some days they throw a curveball at us, and they come on Tuesdays, though. So, just never know. But anyways, this plant doesn't hire very many people. And by the way, potash is mostly used for fertilizer, and it's also we use it on our roads in the wintertime in this southern part of Utah. Instead of using sodium chloride like they do up in Salt Lake, we use potassium chloride to help rot our cars on the road. I mean, to melt the ice off the roads. Thinking. But yeah, this plant doesn't hire very many people, but a lot of people in Moab try and get jobs down there. Well, not everybody, but quite a few people do, because it's year-round work. Unlike my job, it's very seasonal. So when they work 7 months out of the year, the rest of the time we're trying to find work. So, but I don't think I could go apply down there, because to go from such a hard job to an easy job. The cubicle's a little small some days. Not only that, did you guys get stuck in rush hour traffic this morning? It was just awful. I mean, it took me an extra 2 minutes to get to work this morning. I was following a motorhome out towards Arches, you know.
The big green building is just for processing that.
The big green dome buildings there, that's where they store all of the product, and there's two big buildings down there. They've got different bins in there, and I don't know how they separate it, but every one of them has like a different color to it, and I don't know too much about that. I'm sorry, I don't. I wish I knew more about it, because there's a lot of people that ask me, and I'm like, I don't know. I need to go have them take me on a tour down there, you know. Those black birds are turkey vultures. Turkey buzzards, whatever you want to call them. Ugly looking birds, but pretty when they're flying. I did see some of these Canadian natives back upstream on the sandbar back up there. Did you guys see your natives up there?
No.
Were there some geese?
Yeah, we had some Canadian geese. Yeah.
Over in England, they're having problems with them now. Everywhere.
Darn Canadians. Tell you what, yeah. I think you guys have scared them off up there. So told them to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Is there wild turkey out here?
Well, turkey, yes. We have the Rios, or Rio Grandes. Yeah. We have quite a few of them all through here. I've seen quite a few on the sandbars this year. But yeah, and up on the mountains we do. And we do have a lot of mule deer, black bear along the river, coyotes, fox, raccoons, porcupines, skunks, chicklings, squirrels, rabbits, ring-tailed cats, bobcats, owl lions, desert bighorn sheeps. Yeah. We have all kinds of animals out there. The problem is most of them are pretty much nocturnal animals. They come out in the evenings and early in the mornings, and I'm surprised we haven't seen any mule deer. Normally we see some mule deer, but if you guys want to see some mule deer, just come to my house tonight about 7:30. You'll see all the mule deer you want to see. Yeah, they'll be in my garden, eating my trees and eating my plants, you know. Yeah.
Up at the Arches, they said those were Rocky Mountain bighorn.
We have.
But these down here are desert bighorn.
No, the ones out in Arches are desert bighorn.
That's what I thought, but they told us they were Rocky.
Really? Yeah, if you go in there and look at that statue in there, it's backwards. Yeah, they messed up. I think everybody's told them that. They did the sculpture wrong, because the horns are different on the Rocky Mountains than it is on a desert bighorn. Yeah, so when you go out there, yeah, Arches just got that brand new visitor center, and somebody did a statue of a desert bighorn or something. I don't know, it's worded wrong or something. It's Rocky Mountain bighorn.
Well, I think they got the desert bighorn statue, but picture stuff says it's Rocky Mountain Big.
Yeah, something like that. It's something messed up out there. I've been told that several times. I've been out there and seen the statue too, and the horns are wrong. You know, so whoever did the statue needs to redo it.
It's in New York City, maybe.
Yeah.
They're little.
This out in New York Yeah, I'm sure they did. The government probably paid a pretty penny for that. Down here around the corner, there is a boat ramp. At this boat ramp, that is where there is a restroom facility. This will be the last restroom that you see till on the way back. So I just want to make sure. Does anybody need to stop? Ooh, you brave souls, I tell you what. Other than that, there's a turkey vulture. It's pretty neat because they don't even flap their wings.
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
kind of hover. But yeah. Anything past this point, by the way, if we have an emergency, we have what we call facilitaries. So that's the extent of the restrooms past this point. Yeah. There's one right back up here I like to show, but
Oh, up at the top there, that little tree.
yeah, that's one of our facilitaries. We all look this way while you're up there. So. Anyways, does anybody need to stop now? Okay, brave souls. Okay. Well, we'll go past that just a little bit. We'll stop and talk some more. I did have a question. Somebody asked me what the black stuff is on the rock. It's not the rubber from the cheap tires. Yeah, that's what we call desert varnish. It's actually a thin coating on the outside of the rock. It's an oxidation of minerals. There's little microorganisms that have to take place. It's mostly from the iron and the manganese that's in the rock, but it kind of has like a rusting effect to it. But it also has to have water. But anywhere that you see the real black streamers coming down,
No rocks.
and I don't see really any down here, but you'll see them back upstream where it looks like somebody poured oil off the cliff and it's just running straight down. That's where we'd have beautiful red waterfalls if you were here after a heavy rainstorm. But the chances of you seeing that are pretty slim to none. Yeah, I mean, it takes a good rainstorm. Last week we had some good rain, and we did have some good waterfalls, and bright red waterfalls. And normally our rainstorms come, they dump the rain about 15 minutes later, the storm's gone, it's blue sky again, and you just got these red waterfalls coming off these cliffs everywhere with the blue sky, which is pretty neat. So anyways, does that answer your question on the desert varnish?
Yeah.
And it's only found in the desert, by the way. I didn't find you guys. That's where you find the petroglyphs. Is the Native Americans found out that made a nice blackboard, and they'd come along and chip that black off, or they scratch that black off to reveal the natural color of the sandstone, which is the real lighter color. And that's how we can usually tell if we've had a recent rock falls, because it'll just be like a real shiny, whitish, reddish color. That is right at the high water mark of this year. When you get back, you'll be able to see that. The highest it's ever been was in 83 and 84, and this river was flowing about 100,000 cubic feet per second. That's when we had our 100-year flood here in Utah and in Colorado. In Utah, up in Salt Lake, we had about 5 feet of water going down State Street. You guys remember? Do you guys there?
Then.
Yeah.
We heard about
Well,
the pumps.
Yeah,
Salt Lake.
13 South was canal.
Canal.
Yeah, it was just full of water.
All underwater.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what can happen with a little bit of water. But anyways, yeah, it was flowing. Most of this road over here was underwater. If any of you have traveled down 128, you couldn't come down 128. Most of it was underwater. The people in Cass Valley had to go up over the loop road to get down. They had to take those snow plows up there with the snowblower parts and actually get the snow off the road so they could get down to work. So it was the only way they could get out. So yeah, pretty neat what can happen. Lake Powell that year almost went into what they call surcharge, but it almost got washed away that year. Lake Powell, because nowadays they fluctuate the water but they won't have to do that for a few years. 'Cause we've been in a 5-year drought situation, and it hasn't been too good. But yeah, actually, they had to go in and restructure the dam after that because they had concrete slabs the size of semi trucks that had been pushed off the walls. So going to restructure it. But just about got washed away. That plywood across the top and sandbags on the top of that. It's crazy. But anyways.
And they released water that year as well?
Yeah, oh, they were releasing it just about as fast as they could. That was the last time this river reached the Pacific Ocean. Now it's all used up, every drip of it. Every drop. All this, we don't drink it here in the state of Utah. We send it on down to Las Vegas, and Arizona, Southern California. They can have it. Yeah.
Is it always this muddy?
Is it always this muddy? Yeah, this is actually fairly clean. Yeah. You were here about a week ago. It was bright red. And you could tell that it was our state going down the river. This is the state of Colorado right now going by. It's actually fairly clean. In the wintertime, it'll clear up to where you can see about a foot down, but that's about the cleanest you ever really see it. The reason why in the wintertime it gets really greenish tint to it, it's got a lot of algae in it. That's why you can't see down too far. Yeah. And when it's really dirty, if you take a 5-gallon bucket and dip it in there and let it sit overnight, you'll have about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch of sediment at the bottom. Yeah, and it looked just like this all the way down, but since we put in that filtration system downstream, Big Val, it all filters out there. So we filter it out a couple times before these people drink it downstream. Yeah, we drink spring water here in Moab, so you don't have to worry about our water, unless you're staying at.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Yeah. You guys drink out of the tap up there at Sorrow River Ranch? No, huh? You drink bottled water up there, huh? Okay, well, they purify. That's the only place in Moab that purifies the river and drinks. I've drank it several times. It's good. A lot of times not on my own will, but not too bad. But that's the only place in Moab that drinks it. If you want some good spring water on your way back home, when you go across the bridge, just make a left. When you go up 128, up there about 100 yards off to the right, there's a metal pipe that sticks right out of the wall. You can get all this free spring water you want right there, which is very good. So that's where I get all my drinking water. But we get spring water here in Moab. Anyways, well, does anybody need to stop at the restroom?
No. Want any whining?
above eye level here, you'll see a fossilized sea layer over here. Most of this is torn coral. It was actually a coral reef at one time. About 165 million years ago. We can count over 11 different times that there was actually some type of ocean or a sea in here, some type of salt water that was in here. And that salt layer that's down below us is one of them, and this is another one. We'll try and show you some other ones as we go downstream. But this area that we're in right here, this is what we call the Kane Creek Anticline, and you can notice how the earth is coming up here on both sides. It kind of gives you that optical illusion like you're going downhill really quick.
Yeah.
You're not. It's just the earth is coming up. The geologists believe it's from that salt layer that's down below us. Salt under pressure is very pliable. What they think happened is somewhere else the earth has slipped down, pushing down on that salt and pushed that salt up right here and made this dome. And the river found an easy place to cut through, so the river just started to cut through here. This is what we call the Kane Creek Anticline. And you'll notice as soon as we come down through the now around the corner here, you'll notice that the anticline just drops right back down into the river. And as soon as we do that, then we're going to go up a 45-foot waterfall, down through some 5-foot rapids, down through Little Niagara.
You can let me off here.
Little
I'll let you off here, yeah. Just get out and walk. Yeah, well, it's leveled out since yesterday, so you don't have to worry about it. Anyways, as soon as we come down through this anticline, on the left-hand side of the river, the trees will start back up, and you might see a house down there, a boathouse and some other houses, but there's a little section of private land down here. It's owned by a company, and the company's name is called Camelot Adventure Lodge. Have any of you heard of it? I'm sure some of you have heard of Camelot, but this is a little different. But what they do down here is they do camel tours through the desert. So if you guys want to ride a camel, there you go. Okay, and you guys are like right next door, so you guys can just come right on back down and yeah, go for a camel ride. I don't know exactly what they do with the camels, but I know they do camel tours down here. So. If you want to find out more information, ask the girl back at the office. She'll help you out with that. I don't know too much about that.
Yeah. You never rode one of those.
going through a place called Cataract Canyon, which is world-class rapids in between here and Lake Powell. So these guys are floating all the way to Lake Powell.
How long does it take us?
Most of these trips are 2 to 7 days. These guys will probably be out for 5 to 6 on that. passed it 3 times. We'll show it to you on the 4th time, and then on the way back, if you want to see it, you'll be able to see it. Okay, it's a little different from down here, you know. I always like to do that because people think they know where Dead Horse Point is, and it's easy to get confused down here. If you look right up here on top of this cliff where it's flat, if you follow that out to the left where it drops off that point right there, that little point is what we call Thelma and Louise Point. That's where they shot 2 1966 Ford Thunderbird convertible cars off the top of that cliff right there to make the ending scene of the movie Thelma and Louise.
That's the end of part 2, to be continued in part 3. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. It'd really help the channel.